Hey, yo, what's going on, you guys? We've got a brand new episode of Buy or Bust today. We're going to be talking about the brand new card, Dr. Doom 2099. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so we got Dr. Doom 2099 on screen, or Doom 2099, the brand new Series 5 card, which has the ability after each turn, add a Doom 2099 bot to a random location if you played exactly one card. Now, what exactly does that Doom bot do? The Doom bot is going to be an ongoing your other Doom bots and Doom have +1 power, which is really interesting. You'll see right here, it actually does work with Dr. Doom as well. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the key synergies and key counters to this card. So, starting off first and foremost, we have, of course, Dr. Doom. Like I was saying, we saw it in the video itself. Dr. Doom works with the Doom bots with the ongoing ability, giving +1 to other Doom bots and Doom itself. So your Doom can get up to 8 power if there's 3 bots on the board, 2 if there's 2, 1 if there's 1. So they do play really into each other, which makes sense with the Marvel's rival story that's going on as well, where both Dr. Dooms are kind of going against each other, kind of working with each other at the same time. They've messed up the timeline, so it's really interesting that they work together. I think Sandman's another great tech for this, being able to limit the amount of cards your opponent can play, and not limiting it to 1, because Sandman's ability now is just increasing the cost of cards. But this is a really solid card to be able to allow you to do Doom things, as well as take advantage of your 2099 Doom as well. And then I was thinking Iron Lad. Iron Lad being able to copy the text of Doom allows you to have another way to get this card out on the board earlier, to be able to have more Doom bots than you maybe would have had later on in the game. So I think it's a pretty good synergistic card there. And now when we talk about the counters, we do have some counters we see very often right now. Maybe not as often, but now changed with the OTA, we do have Enchantress. Enchantress, you know, removes the ongoing abilities of cards on the board, so in that single lane. So this would work with the Doom bots. So if this hits the 2099 Doom bots, it removes their ongoing ability, so they do no longer buff the other Doom bots. Of course, that would help more with Patriot kind of things, but it does remove what the Doom bots abilities do. And then, of course, Rogue can steal that ongoing ability as well. I think with this list, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of different ongoing cards in this list, so Rogue does have value against them. It would steal the ability from the Doom bots, not from Doom itself, because Doom itself is a raw text. Whereas Red Guardian could hit the Doom itself and make it so it cannot pump out any more Doom bots, or it could also remove the ongoing ability from the 2099 Doom bots itself as well, so they no longer are buffing the other Doom bots or Doom, so just keeping that in mind prospectively. And then we got some of the good stuff, all right? So starting off, the good we have, it is, you know, horizontal power that you can get across the board. Normally, that's what you could get with Dr. Doom. It can also play into the same lane as Doom 2099, so also keep that in mind. But it is also pretty unpredictable where this power is going to go for your opponent. Your opponent has to guess, well, if the Doom bot goes here, I have this. If the Doom bot goes there, I do that. So you can kind of have that little sneak up on people. You can fill the lanes the way you want to, so you have better likelihood to get the Doom bots in the right spot. It works with both Dooms, which is already incredible. So like your original Doom could go to a 6-8, opposed to just a 6-5, plus the other Doom bots itself. So it could be a 6-24. And then the original Doom could potentially get that 5 power as well with 3 additional Doom bots, making it a potential 4-17 with the other Doom bots, because you have 3 additional Doom bots on the board. Also getting the extra power, they would go up to about 4 each. But it's great for early collection levels, what I'm thinking, too. So with some of the Patriot shenanigans, I think you can get that going early. So that's what I like there. Now, when we get to the bad, all right, it does limit you to playing 1 card per turn. You do have to play 1 card per turn to be able to get that Doom value. If you don't, you're not going to get the maximum value of Doom, but you don't always have to get the maximum value of Doom. Just keep that in mind as well. And then it is unpredictable power for yourself, too. If you don't have a way to fill your lanes, the Doom bots might go into the wrong lanes for you, so you're not able to capitalize maybe the way you're wanting to. And then, yeah, it's sometimes not enough power in that sense. The Doom bot goes back into the lane with 2099 Doom, where you maybe needed to go to the left lane or needed to go to the right lane instead, so you're not able to actually win the game there with that horizontal power. And it's, I'd say, pretty niche. Building some of the decks here, they're seem like they're a little bit of like the same exact kind of breed of decks. Like they're kind of just the same exact thing going on for the most part, opposed to some of these other new cards, which can kind of plug into a variety of decks. This seems kind of a little more focalized. But let's go ahead and talk about the ceiling and the floor for this card, all right? So on a perfect game, Dr. Doom 2099 gets played on curve. So he's a 4-2, it adds a Doom bot on that turn. You pair that with Dr. Doom on turn 6. So turn 5, maybe you play a Blue Marvel, maybe you play your Sandman, and then you get another Doom bot. Turn 6, you then play Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom adds its bots to the board, and Dr. Doom's a 6-7, and its Doom bots are a 6-7. At the end of the turn, then the Doom 2099 also adds a Doom bot, and your Dr. Doom goes to a 6-24. You have 3 additional 2099 Doom bots on the board, which is going to be 17 power across the board. You add that all together, you have 41 power total on the board, which that's pretty crazy for your top end, right? 41 power within 3 turns is pretty good. And then on the low end, you draw maybe Doom 2099 at the end of the game, and you have to play it with another card. If you have to play it with another card, you play more than one card, you don't meet Doom's conditions. It's just essentially a 4-2. But if you play it out on curve and you add maybe 1 Doom bot to the board, you can add 5 power in that turn because the Doom bot's also a 4-2, giving +1 power to the Dr. Doom or the Doom 2099 itself, making Doom 2099 a 4-3 with the Doom bot on the board as well. This is a 4-2. That's a 4-5 essentially on the board. 2 power in one lane and 3 power in another, or potentially both of them in the same lane. And then here are a couple decks we're thinking of. So I was thinking of like a Patriot kind of shell. This is what kind of came to mind here. I'm using Iron Lad a lot in these lists. I'm using Dr. Doom a lot in these lists to kind of just capitalize on potentially getting some more Doom value. So with this here, it's kind of a Patriot shell. With the Mockingbird, you're using Mr. Sinister again. Maybe you could put a Galacta in here instead of an Iron Lad in order to capitalize on your Sinisters. Potentially even your Doom itself, just to kind of go forward in that sense. But some Patriot shenanigans is what came to mind first. Of course, Patriot does not work with the Doom 2099 bots because they have an ability, but it still does work with the Dr. Doom. Next, we have Pixie's Doom over here, which is going to be a Pixie list. We have Zabu in order to either get Doom, Iron Lad, or AT Venom out early. We have Mobius as well, because we are running Sandman in order to counter our opponents and add value for itself. With Sandman and Mobius, Mobius makes sure your cards don't get increased in cost because of Sandman's ability now, making them more increased. It also works with the Pixie stuff. We're adding Leader into this list too, if we want to add maybe potentially their high power card. Just another way my brain went with this. Of course, maybe this isn't even a Dr. Doom shell. I feel like you could maybe do this with some other cards. But this is just one of the other lists I thought of. And then I thought of another crazy outside the box list. I don't know exactly how this one is going to go, but we do have this one right here, which is going to be a Doomful discard, which is just hella discard with Doom 2099 in here, kind of to prioritize some areas where you would have board space. So like playing the Doom out and potentially filling some lanes so you can kind of predict where you need to play hella to be able to get your power elsewhere. I only have 2 discard enablers in this list, but you could probably have Black Cat instead of Jubilee potentially, or Lady Sif instead of Corvus because you are running Death. So those are just a couple different options I had in mind. You could even maybe add Silver Samurai into this list because Silver Samurai always hits gore, and you have a bunch of different on reveals in this shell as well. But those are going to be the gists of just the decks that we have going on. Next, we have the Spotlight Cache, which this Spotlight Cache is bad. It is a really, really bad Spotlight Cache. We do have Doom 2099, which is a Series 5 card, and then we have Meek, who has been overshadowed by Scorn now, and then we have Dawkin, who is absolutely garbage. Sorry, Perry, I know you love Vampire Slayer, but this card is garbage. And there's really nothing I would want to do with Dawkin. It was supposed to be Hitmonkey at first, and then Dawkin's also going to be in the Season Pass next season. Dawkin and Meek are Series 4 cards. Doom is the only Series 5 card in this list. And then when we look at this overall, I don't think it's a very strong spotlight. I think you have Doom 2099, which is the only reason why this has a star. Meek and Dawkin are not flexible cards by any means. I also think Doom is pretty niche. The variants, the Ink Pulp Meek is awesome. The Doom 2099 is okay. I'm still not a huge fan of these Marvel Rivals variants. The Dawkin looks horrible. I'm not a fan of the Dawkin. Maybe the Fire will look cool, but I'm just not a fan of that in the slightest. And then going on over to Doom itself, I think Doom, what you guys are saying, what I'm seeing from a bunch of other people, he's pretty strong. He's got potential to be strong, but he's not the most flexible. I don't think he's going to be adjusted. The community doesn't think he's going to be adjusted. But I think he's an okay card, pretty solid for what he can do. which is why I'm a little bit higher on the strength of this card, on the output it can produce for you. I still don't think it's the most flexible. I think it's maybe a little bit more flexible than people may be giving him credit for. I think there's maybe potential his power could get tweaked. Maybe his base power gets jumped just a little bit. But overall, I think he's going to stay about the same. I don't think there's a high likelihood he gets changed. I think you see him in Patriot. You see him in Sandman. Maybe you see him in the Hell list. But I don't think he's going to be that crazy of a card, but I do think he's going to have the strength that could potentially go over the top of some of these other decks, especially when it comes to horizontal, because I'm seeing a lot more vertical power opposed to horizontal power still. So I think you should get Dr. Doom. I think you should get Doom2099. I don't necessarily think you should spend spotlights, because this spotlight week is absolutely garbage, but I do think this is a solid card. Even right now, I think it's a good card for your collection. I think what it does is cool. I think it is niche, but I think what the niche thing it does is actually solid when you think about the amount of power this can add to the board, specifically to Doom, allowing you to kind of focus on some other lanes, and then if you want to capitalize with a Dr. Doom at the end of the game, I think you really can get some value here. But I do want you guys to keep in mind, like, really wait a few days before truly investing in cards, especially if you are limited on resources. See how it affects the meta. See if it actually changes anything. Watch other people's videos, watch other streams, play the card maybe, or watch your friends play the card. Like, just wait and see it. Wait till like the end of the week. See where it is. I'm often been wrong. Other people have been wrong. We don't necessarily know how the card is going to be until it actually does, you know, come out into the game. So just keep that in mind, holistically speaking. And then, yeah, make sure you spend your resources on cards that impact your playstyle. If you want to play Meek and you don't have Scorn, go for Meek. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I don't fully support it, but you can spend your resources the way you want to spend your resources, because at the end of the day, bad cards get buffed and good cards get nerfed. As Second Dinner just wants to sell cards, so they're going to buff the bad cards, nerf the good cards after they've sold a lot. But just keep that in mind. Buy what you want to buy. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you guys did stick around to the very end of the video, let me know down below. Are you guys going to be getting Doom 2099? If not, what are you saving for? The January, February cards are looking really, really crazy and really, really good. Until the next time, you guys have a great weekend. God bless. It's been real, and Tucker out.